Hello everybody and welcome to another D.Va tip video. This video is going to be about D.Va specifics, which means I'll be talking about how to deal with specific characters, situations, etc. I won't be repeating anything from my last D.Va tip video, so if you're looking for more general or basic tips for D.Va, please watch that video and then come back to this one if you feel like getting more details. As always, these are tips or strategies that work for me, so if you disagree or don't feel like adopting some of these habits, that is totally okay. Regardless of what you may think or feel, these videos are always about helping people find out what works for them to help them get better at D.Va. Anyways, let's get into the specs. A vital character you need to keep your eye on is Mercy. Taking down a Mercy before or at the beginning of a team fight nearly gives you a shoo-in to win. One of her main abilities you should be countering as D.Va is her Guardian Angel ability. It's always frustrating to be on the verge of killing her and she just flies away to one of her teammates. That's why we need to master timing so this doesn't happen that often. Usually, Mercies will fly away as you get closer to them or as you do more damage to them. That means we should be diving her either as she is flying to one of her teammates or just after she has landed after flying because she's on cooldown. To bait out her Guardian Angel ability, do not fly to her, but instead use your rockets and your bullets to do damage from a distance as you walk closer to her. Once you get close enough or do enough damage to concern her, she will find someone to fly to, and that's when you pounce. Once she's decided to fly, she's stuck going in a straight line, so as long as you can properly track her as she's flying, you should be able to kill her before she lands or as she lands. Another ability of hers that we should be countering is her Resurrect. Her Resurrect ability can be cancelled by being stunned, frozen, killed, or being pushed far enough away from the body. That's where we come in. If a Mercy is resurrecting within distance of you, then you should fly to her and do one of either two things. If she's low enough, try to kill her before she can get the res off, but if she has plenty of health, then use your boosters to get to her ASAP and use the speed of your mech to push her away from the body, much like you would pushing someone off the map. One of the most annoying characters you can go up against is a Sombra, especially as a tank. Much like dealing with a Tracer, you can't do much about them except try to mess with them as much as possible, sometimes trying even harder than your own DPS to counter them. The most we can do against her, besides a few times you may get lucky and kill her, is deny as many of her hacks as possible. One of her weaknesses that we can use against her is her inability to hack people when she's taking damage. This means our strat to deny her hacks is to just shoot her. No matter how far we are, as long as one bullet hits her mid-hack, she's useless and will probably teleport back to her translocator to safely go invisible again. A lot of the time, Sombras will prioritize hacking tanks and healers alike, so be sure to watch your backline too, because it's almost guaranteed that your Ana or Zen will be having the fight of their life behind your back, or even in spawn if the Sombra feels like being extra. Another character you need to keep your eye on is Pharah. Of course, any flying DPS like Echo or Pharah is mainly the responsibility of your DPS by default, but you are still expected to at least do damage or protect your team from their projectiles, especially because you are more mobile than any hit scan that can counter them. The ability of hers that I'm going to be focusing on for this video is her Barrage ultimate ability. Much like a Zarya or Mei, Pharahs tend to telegraph when they're about to ult by flanking behind your team or just getting high enough above your team that they won't notice her flying overhead until it's too late. Like eating a McCree or Soldier ult, you need to be using up all of your matrix in order to eat her rockets. But, in the case that you run out of matrix or don't have any matrix to begin with, the best you can do is fly directly at her. Pharah is one of the only characters in Overwatch who actually takes damage from her own primary fire, so we need to take advantage of that. When you fly at her, the rockets may demolish your mech, but if you're close enough or in front of her long enough, she will do enough damage to herself that she'll have killed herself in the process. Although you may be left without a mech, the Pharah will be left with an extra death and a wasted ult. The first situation I want to mention is countering healers like Bap and Ana, healers who heal via projectiles, during a 1v1, especially versus a tank. A lot of the time, there will be moments where you're just about to kill the Ryan or the Sigma or whoever the tank is, and they just barely get by with their Bap or Ana throwing all their heals at them from behind. In cases like these, you'll want to either matrix the enemy you're 1v1ing, or the area behind them where the heals are coming from. Or, body block the heals by putting yourself between the two so that their heals don't register. Just like a Matrix can catch a Hanzo ult through a wall, your Matrix can go through the enemy and catch their heals. This strat does tend to work better when at least one teammate is putting pressure on the tank you're 1v1ing or the healer, but Matrixing their heals definitely still gives you a chance to win that 1v1. The next situation I want to talk about is diving DPS like Ashe and McCree. They both have in common the fact that they use an ability as a way to get away from or to stop you. Ashe uses her coach gun to push you away from her, and McCree uses his stun to slow you down so he can either run away or fan you out of your mech. To avoid situations where they either get away or get you out of your mech, you need to time your Matrix accordingly. A majority of the time, McCree will try to stun you right off the bat, so you should have your Matrix up as you approach him, but not too early because he can wait it out and then stun you if he's smart. In Ashe's case, they'll probably run away from you at first and then turn around to use her coach gun to push you away, but since her coach gun acts like a sawed-off shotgun, it doesn't do much unless you're extremely close to her. This means you can afford to get a little bit closer to her than you would a McCree before activating your Matrix. A rare situation that comes up for payload maps is when an enemy D.Va ults on the payload. By ulting on the payload, I mean she walks on top of the payload and just hops out of her mech. If you can get away from the payload in time, you're fine, but if you get your boosters too late, you can still avoid the bomb regardless of where exactly the D.Va placed her bomb on the payload. Instead of risking getting blown out of your mech by trying to fly away too late, fly directly into the payload while facing the ground. I have no idea how this exactly works, but every time I've tried it, it's worked. The circumstances are super rare, so I doubt there will come a time to use this hack, but just in case, you'll know what to do. The last situation I'm going to be talking about is when you're the only one on cart or objective, regardless of whether you're on the attacking or defending team. When you're the last one standing, that usually means the entirety of the enemy team is on you trying to kill you ASAP so they can cap the point. This is the last situation where you'd want to be standing still or not using any of your abilities. If anything, you should be using all of your abilities to buy your team some time. Be flying in circles around the objective, be matrixing all the damage you can, maybe use your rockets to get in some damage or even a lucky pick too. I know I said I wouldn't put in any general tips in this video, but I think this one is important to go along with every one of these situations or strats, as well as getting better at D.Va in general. In my experience, it'll be hard to climb and see results without first being able to win a 1v1 as D.Va, and or have more confidence in your baby D.Va abilities. Of course, there are characters that are harder to face off against or have a way bigger advantage than you, especially when you get out of your mech. But even if you're out of your mech and you know you're going to lose the fight, you should be giving everything you've got to at least do damage. Get some ult charge or maybe even trade a kill. Be jumping around, spamming crouch, pre-firing, etc. Who knows, the enemy team might have terrible aim all of a sudden and you may get your mech back and win the fight. For now, that is all the tips I've got for you guys today, but I hope you guys took at least one tip or strat away from it. If you're any bit confused by something in the video, or if you have any clarifying questions, feel free to comment them down below and I'll gladly give you a thorough response. If you found this video helpful and would like for me to make another similar video or even a video about tips for Overwatch in general, please let me know. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.